All right. Hello. Excuse me. Today I saw an anime called Anohana, as you can tell by the title, and or the full name is Anohana, the flower we saw that day. And this anime is categorized as a coming of age story. That is definitely what it is. But it kind of felt like just like a romantic drama for like the first 8 episodes because I don't know, they just took a weird approach to this anime. But it's basically about a little girl named Hanma or Hanma, I forget already. And she died when she was very, very young. And the rest of her friend group, which consists of a girl named Naruko, the main character Jinta, another guy named Yuketsu, another girl named Chiriko, and another guy that's nicknamed Popo. And they all suffer from trauma or guilt from the day that Hanma died, and they've all been carrying it around with them since that day. And it takes place in their high school years, so they're basically 16, 17 maybe. This anime is kind of weird. Like, I had very high expectations of this anime. Not very high. Scratch that. I had expectations for this anime. I didn't have extremely high expectations, but they were, you know what I'm saying? I thought it was going to be good. It is, you know, for the, I wouldn't say for the most part, but it is ultimately good. But in the beginning, like the first third of the show, I don't know what a third is of 11, but I'm just going to say that it's a third. No, not a third, like 2/3 of the show. It's kind of weird because like it deals with Hanma becoming a manifestation of Jinta's trauma and guilt, and basically she's able to interact with the environment, but she's like a ghost. She's like an apparition, basically from the afterlife, basically. And she's able to interact with stuff. And once Jinta told Popo that he was able to see her, it irritated me every single time that they were speculative, and he never, ever came up with the idea to let her write or to let her try to communicate. And she was communicating with them, but like she wasn't. Like she was talking to them, but with her knowing that they couldn't hear her. So she was like, okay, we're just talking to them and being next to them and just saying shit that she knows they can't hear. That was like all for like story, you know what I mean? Like that for all story. They did a bunch of shit that's like cock block, like possibilities. You know what I mean? Like she was about to write with a pen in a notebook and they didn't let her because like, oh, I don't know why. And they never gave a reason either. They was like, I don't know why I couldn't write at Jinta's house. And they never gave a reason. They made her say that and they never gave a reason. So they literally just couldn't write at that moment. The fuck? Because then she found a pink pen later and then she was able to write. Fuck is that? So the fact that they took forever, they took 2/3 of the fucking show for her to be able to communicate with the others. That shit pissed me off because so much unnecessary shit happened because of that. Because she wasn't able to communicate. So much unnecessary shit. And then the fucking Yuketsu, he was like, or maybe he didn't want her to communicate with us because he wanted her all to herself. And I was like, damn. See, that's where you're probably right. Which he probably was right. Fuck, like it shouldn't have taken that long. Like this anime could have easily been like 2 episodes, 3 episodes shorter. Honestly, it could have been. It was just dragged on for too long, bruh. Or like some aspects dragged on for way too long than they had to. Yeah, basically everyone was fucking guilty and shit. And in the beginning, Jinta states that she's a manifestation of his stress and trauma, but it was basically, but she was really a manifestation of everybody's guilt and trauma. They said stress in the beginning, but it was really guilt. Or yeah, it was really guilt. And then by the end, you know what I'm saying, despite all the like unnecessary shit that happened in this anime, the ending was actually kind of nice. It was kind of nice. It was kind of bittersweet. It was wholesome. You know what I mean? It was definitely somewhat heart-wrenching. Definitely pulled at the heartstrings just a tad. If you can get over the fact of how unreasonable some elements of the show are, then it's a good show. It's a good show. And my anime list gives it an 8.4. IMDb gives it an 8.2, and Crunchyroll gives it a 9.6. And honestly, this doesn't deserve an 8 at all. At all, just because of the beginning. If they could have like paced it or like written it just a tad bit better, because they just did so much unreasonable shit. It was kind of annoying. It's only 11 episodes too, so that's actually a good part of it. That was only 11 episodes. The thing is, it's only 11 episodes, but it could have been even shorter. That's the crazy part. But at the very end, it was kind of, you know, emotional. Definitely the last episode was definitely emotional. It was definitely heart-wrenching, you know what I'm saying? And it ultimately, well, she was a manifestation of their guilt and trauma. She was able to pass and move on because they were able to come to terms with what they've been holding in for so long. So that was actually kind of nice. You know what I mean? So yeah. I think if I were to compare this anime to something else that I've seen, it would be Classic Memories. And I compare these two because they both at the beginning basically tell you that this character is basically gonna die. He's gonna die, he's gonna go away, he's gonna disappear eventually. You know what I mean? So that kind of takes away some of the sad aspect of it, because it's not like a shock. It's not like, I mean, yes, you can get attached to the character still, but you already know that they're gonna die. You know what I mean? Or they're gonna disappear. So in that sense, it's kind of like Plastic Memories. Just because I already knew that the character was gonna disappear, pass. I was like, it wasn't that sad to me. Like, it was, because obviously the moment was still, you know, it was emotional, it was sentimental, but it didn't make me like, it could have been sadder. The way they built it could have been sadder. It had the potential to be sadder. You know what I mean? And Anohana is kind of known for being sad. So I was like, hey, yo, I might get a good cry out of this. And I didn't. So it was still heart-wrenching. It was still like pulling at the heartstrings though. You know what I mean? So it is pretty emotional. It's still a pretty emotional moment. It didn't get me to cry, but it was getting there. It was getting there. So just because of that, I'll give this anime like a 7.2 out of 10. Yeah, that's just feeling right now. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you. And goodbye.